Hey guys, welcome back to Kid Connect at Home. Have you ever been carrying something, or maybe lots of some things, and it was just more than you could handle? It was more than your arms could even hold? Well, today we're talking about how the Israelites kind of got themselves into a situation that was more than they could handle. But they had to learn that God was enough. God was enough for them and their situation. But first, we're going to start out with a brand new Remember verse. Let the one who boasts boast about this, that they have the understanding to know me, that I am the Lord who exercises kindness, justice, and righteousness on earth. For in these I delight, declares the Lord. Jeremiah 9:24. All right, well, I want you guys to check out this video from a few new friends about how God is enough. And then we'll end with some worship.
Hey guys, my name is Tyree, and this is Joel. We're here to tell you the next part of the big God story. Last week we heard about how God brought Joseph through many difficult situations because he had a big plan for his life. In fact, God planned to use Joseph to save many. We heard how God worked all these situations together to save the family line of the promised Redeemer. For about 400 years, the Israelites cried out to God for freedom from slavery. So God raised up a man named Moses to help free them. But even after they'd been freed, the Israelites found themselves being chased by the Egyptian army. But God divided the Red Sea so that they could escape from the army. Then God closed the sea and washed the army away. Hey, what's with all this stuff? In the wilderness, God took care of his people. He made a covenant, or everlasting promise, to be their God and make them his people. He gave them the 10 Commandments to guide their lives and help them be set apart for him, as his own people, to show them that he had the keys to the best kind of life. As we'll hear today, the Israelites forgot about this. They forgot that God had so much more for his people than they realized. Wait, is that why you handed me all this stuff? To see how much I can handle?
Yeah, and you can hold so much more than I can.
Wait, really? How much did you hold? Wait, it doesn't matter. Anyway, in the very first commandment, God said,
I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me.
This was a very important commandment because the Israelites had lived in Egypt for 400 years, and the Egyptians worshipped many false gods. But these false gods couldn't save them from the plagues. They couldn't divide the seas. They had no power. These false gods weren't just powerless. They also couldn't be in a relationship with the people who worshiped them. God himself longed to be in a relationship with his people. He was leading his people to the promised land. He promised to make them his special people. He did this to show the world the love relationship between God and his people. The Israelites were so completely blessed to have the God of the universe choose them as his people. God had so much more for them than they ever had in Egypt. Because of this, he required that his people recognize no other God, especially gods of silver or gods of gold they made with their own hands. This is the kind of thing Egyptian people did, and God wanted his people to be different. Joel, not different like that. He wanted his people to be different, like set apart, special for him. When the earthly leader Moses disappeared with God on the mountain for 40 days, the Bible said that God came upon the mountain in the form of a dense cloud and fire, and the people lost their confidence. Joel, this is kind of scary. You weren't supposed to make me lose my confidence, you know.
Oh. Sorry, man.
Anyway, because of the fire, the mountain was smoking. It was also shaking as if there was a mighty earthquake. This scared the Israelite people. So in their fear, they did exactly what God had commanded them not to do. They gathered up their gold jewelry, melted it down, and formed it into an image of a calf they could worship. Whoa, let's not do that. Though this might seem to us like it's a really weird thing to do, remember that the Israelites were used to seeing Egyptians worship false gods. That was familiar to them. But this grieved God's heart. In fact, God was so upset that his people had disobeyed his first law that he wanted to just start over with new people. But Moses asked God to spare the people he brought out of Egypt, the people who were the children of Abraham, the man to whom he made an everlasting promise. God heard Moses' prayers and in his mercy did not destroy them. Yet the Israelites are still faced the consequences for their actions. When Moses came down the mountain and saw what the Israelites were doing, he threw down the tablets on which the 10 Commandments were written, and then he took the calf they made and they burned it. Because of Moses' actions and his anger, the Israelites realized the great sin they had committed, and they could repent it or turn away from their sins. This part of the big God story is a sad reminder of how easy it can be to fall back on old sinful ways when things get hard. God called his people to worship him, the one true God, who has so much more for them. But when they got worried, uncomfortable, and scared, they fell back into familiar sinful ways. By doing this, they missed the fact that God has so much more for them. Today, God still requires us to worship him alone. Though it's still out of our comfort zone to worship a God whom we can't see or touch, and to choose God over everything else, we know God has so much more for us than we can even know. Jesus said,
I have come that you may have life, and have it to the full.
This means living life with God is so much better than living life any other way. Even though we might feel uncomfortable sometimes, feeling uncomfortable can bring us closer to God, because through it, we can learn to depend on him. Through the process of being out of our comfort zone, we can see just how true it is that God has so much more.
It's a new day, and I'm feeling so alive with you. I'm feeling so alive with you. You're making all things brand new. So crazy to believe that nothing's ever gonna come between all the love that you have for me. It's a new day, and I'm feeling so alive with you. I'm feeling so alive with you. Step out, take a breath, knowing you're right beside me, always looking up. Your face is all that I see. Your love within me sets my spirit free. Now you got me singing. It's a new day, and I'm feeling so alive with you. I'm feeling so alive with you. You're making all things brand new. So crazy to believe that nothing's ever gonna come between all the love that you have for me. It's a new day, and I'm feeling so alive with you. I'm feeling so alive with you. You hear every word. God, I know you're listening. You know every hurt. You turn it on to dancing. Your love within me sets my spirit free. Now you got me singing. It's a new day, and I'm feeling so alive with you. I'm feeling so alive with you. You're making all things brand new. So crazy to believe that nothing's ever gonna come between all the love that you have for me. It's a new day, and I'm feeling so alive with you. I'm feeling so alive with you. I'm feeling so alive with you.
It's all looking so bright. It's all feeling so right. It's all looking so bright. It's all feeling so right.
And I'm feeling so alive with you. I'm feeling so alive with you. You're making all things brand new. So crazy to believe